Do you know what hydroelectric specimen does? If so, give yourself a cookie. You deserve a little treat. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are going to be playing with Oops All Spells, courtesy of Kurt. Now, why are we revisiting this deck list? It's because it's changed a lot. This deck used to be something that you could back up with Grief. And, you could have a bunch of cool reanimate lines, some entomb lines even if you wanted. But Grief got banned, and so the deck needs to be rebuilt. Well, this is one way of doing that. And Oops All Spells has this sort of reputation for being a fast, all-in glass cannon combo deck list, with the general strategy being get to 4 mana in some capacity to either play and activate Undercity Informer or play a Balustrade Spy targeting yourself. Either way, you end up milling your entire library, put some Narcomoebas into play, and ultimately Dread Return a Thassa's Oracle into play. Now we want to find new ways to protect this combo. And we are going into blue for that. Now, obviously, the deck was already blue, but we are going into blue counterspells specifically. We want to make sure that we have enough blue cards to actually pitch things to Force of Will, which is where some of these cards, like Hydroelectric Specimen, that are blue cards on the front, or Force of Will, while being lands on the back, and Sink into Stupor, come in. Now, are we going to use these for their front side intended purpose? In all likelihood, probably not. But this large number, all of these modal double-faced cards can be imprinted on Chrome Mox while having some degree of other utility. Oh, and I forgot the Boggart Trawlers over here as well. One thing that you don't see very much of is this list has a Poxwalkers that it can kind of do some cute things with Bridge from Below and Dread Return and Cabal Therapy with, if you are for some reason a little bit short on creatures. Maybe the last thing of note here is Jack-O-Lantern. This can be activated from your graveyard, so for a colorless mana, you can add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. You would choose green in this deck list to cast a Memories Journey if something like a Surgical Extraction or a Fairy Macabre was happening to your Thassa's Oracle or Dread Return or whatever, so that you can just go and try again. Sideboard's relatively straightforward. Consign to Memory just being absolutely all over the Legacy format right now. It is just a generically powerful card. With that being said, why don't we go ahead and hop into the matches here, see how they feel. Folks, if you need some hydroelectric specimens or sink into stupors, consider checking out my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. Tales of Adventure is an awesome store. They have 95% of all standard legal cards in stock at any given time, as well as a bunch of sweet older stuff that you'll probably like Dual Lands and Power. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order as well. Let's battle. Okay, opening hand has mana, but nothing to do with said mana. This is going to be a mulligan. Second hand has things to do, but no mana. Opposite problem. We're going to 5 here. 5-card hand is 1... No, 5-card hand is a win. Land drop, Lotus Petal for black, Dark Ritual, Spy, or Informer. This is fine, assuming no interaction from the opponent. I'm going to put back the 2. There's like Thoughtseize versus Counterspell to think about. I don't know, Thoughtseize taking my Lotus Petal kind of also wrecks me. Opponent also mulliganing hyper aggressively here. Maybe it's the Oops All Spells mirror, and we'll have a round that lasts 30 seconds. Alright. Yeah. Yes. Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual. Spy. Target me. Alright, we just win on turn 1. Mulligans, confirmed good. Alright, so we have all of our friends in play here. At this point, we're going to cast a Cabal Therapy, targeting our opponent, sacrificing a Narcomoeba, and before that resolves, our opponent is going to concede, so I don't see what deck they are on. So, what do I do when I have seen 0 cards from my opponent in terms of sideboarding? My opponent mulliganed somewhat aggressively, which means combo. Is it combo that Leyline of Sanctity is going to be relevant against? Unknown. Let's lose game 2, win game 3. Opening hand doesn't really do anything fast here. I don't think I'm into it. This has no starting mana. I'll go to 5. 1 mana, 2 mana towards this. I can go to 4, or I can keep something hoping to draw mana, which I think is reasonable. I think I'm going to keep the mediocre hand here. See what my opponent's got going on. Oh my gosh. Is it really just an oops mirror? Summoner's Pact. Wild Canter. Yeah, it seems like it. Different build, though. So there's Dark Ritual. Cabal Ritual. There's the 4 mana. So there's the Spy. I can Pact of Negation and die to my Pact of Negation instead of their Spy. Let's see what's going on with their deck. So they have Thought Seizes and Pact of Negations. Got it, but no ley lines or anything. Sure. Okay, I'm dead. Lol, it was an oops mirror. So I can board to become more interactive. Like this stops a Thassa's Oracle trigger. Pact of Negation doesn't appear to do anything versus my opponent. The Pact of Negation can become consigned to memory. Memory's Journey does not appear to matter. Can board out those for Flusterstorms. And none of this impacts my combo speed. I think I'm fine with that. 4 mana turn 1 win. Okay. So land drop, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual. Bantering a little bit with our opponent here. I Spy, target myself, and do the thing. My opponent said they're a fan of the channel, GG's, and they joked that I am in fact not Bryant, because sometimes people mix up me and Brian and Bryant. Okay, I do not have a starting mana for Dark Ritual here. I think accordingly I'll just mulligan this hand. It is a little tempting to try to keep something that looks like this, but in game 1 I think we can just mulligan aggressively. This isn't doing it. 1 mana, 2 mana, technically 3 mana, 4 mana. Sure. I think I'm just going to count on the deck to draw a little bit more mana if I put one of these back and keep the Pact, which I think I'm going to do. All right, are we Delvering or are we Colorless Nonsense? Let's find out. Win both. All right, we are probably Delvering then. That means Wasteland is going to be good against these, but Pact of Negation is also like a totally reasonable card. My opponent is going to be playing counter spells. Don't really want another one. We're going to put that one into play first. Second land drop. Cameo's fine. Brainstorm flips it. That's also fine. We care way more about things like Wasteland here. Well, I can stop it with the Pact of Negations. Go ahead and play that out. I cast a Lotus Petal around days. Pass. I want to do this and activate it in the same turn. No Wasteland's great for me. Ponder's fine. Ponder again. That's fine. We have 3 fucking Pact of Negations, so if I lose that counter war, it's whatever. I don't want to loop back around because like my Pact of Negation doesn't protect these super well unless I'm doing it on the same turn. So I think I'm just gonna pass. That gives time for Wasteland to be good against me. Yeah. Arctide time. That's not that scary. That's not a good draw. This is a 4-turn clock. Yikes. I guess this isn't 100% guaranteed to be on. Now it is. So it's 5, then 8, then dead. Sure. Okay. That gets another counter for the Murktide. Am I gonna die next turn? 6, then 12? No. But it might shut off a land drop here. That's not great for me. Never didn't have it. Dark Ritual. Undercity Informer. You may surveil. We're not paying for that. Pact of Negation. Yeah. There's Force of Will. Pact of Negation. Alright. Undercity Informer. Targeting me. Sacrificing it to its own ability. And we'll do the thing. And our opponent has conceded. So, How do I want to approach this? Like, do I want to have the ability to remove creatures? I don't think so. I could maybe play some Flusters to help win Counter Wars. Do I want to trim some cantrips for some extra protection? Probably. My opponent could be on some sort of surgical stuff. I think I'm going to leave Memory's Journey, Jack-o'-lantern. I think I'll do this. I could maybe, like, trim the Poxwalkers. I don't have the best feel for when I should get rid of some of the supplementary stuff. This doesn't have enough mana. This has enough mana. I'm going to keep this. Probably get rid of one Dark Ritual here. I don't know, maybe I get rid of one Flusterstorm. It's hard for me to use two Flusterstorms. Alright. The opponent checks their own things. That lets them know what to do with a fetch land. They don't like it. And they're just clearing. That's fine. Okay, so I can just jam if I want. Or I can try to find a blue source to back this up. I don't think jamming works this turn. I'm just going to play one of these and pass. I'm not under any pressure yet. And I have another black land. So I don't care if I get wastelanded. That's not great. I think I'm going to try to play patiently. Oof. That punishes patience. I'm at 19. And a Tameo comes down. Sure. I still think it is correct to play patiently. Like, I can draw a Force of Will, I can draw a blue land, I can draw a Pact of Negation. Even a Cabal Therapy is perfectly reasonable. I'll just take a little damage in the meantime. Now with another way to try again. Force of Will. Sure. I would have fired off Dark Ritual earlier if I knew that was going to happen. I'll take one in combat. My opponent gets another clue. Cool. This I like. So here's my blue mana that I wanted. Dark Ritual. Let's Dark Ritual again. Just building Storm for Flusterstorm. Do this one. Yeah. We'll sacrifice it to its own ability. Yes. And do the thing. The Jack-o'-lantern is awkwardly in my hand right now. I can't do anything cute with Memory's Journey, but I've still got a Flusterstorm. Surgical Extraction, targeting Thassa's Oracle. Guess that means I'm flustering here. Storm counts 6. So now we see if my opponent can do anything else. Seems like I get my Narcomoebas. I have Bridge from Below, so I can go ahead and Cabal Therapy. Target you. Is going to return a Poxwalkers to play as well. And that is good enough to do it. GG's.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out.
All right. 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana. I am a mana short of doing this. I'm on the play here. This would have the Thassa's Oracle in my hand, which is doable but awkward. I think I can do better than this. Second hand is a turn 2 win, and I can Cabal Therapy on turn 1. I guess this is fine. So play, yes, Cabal Therapy, target you, we'll name Force of Will, just as a generic card here. Okay, that's all fine. Pass turn, and my opponent can have 3 mana on turn 1 towards Eldrazi stuff, but that shouldn't really matter. Okay, they're just going for the It That Heralds the End. GG. So, yes, Dark Ritual, Undercity Informer, back Undercity Informer to its own ability, get the Narcomoebas, Dread Return, target Thassa's Oracle. We don't need to fart around with anything else here. My opponent's playing Eldrazi, so they're not going to have game 1 interaction for this. Alright, good stuff. So we can have a whopping 4 copies of Consigned to Memory for our opponent. This gets colorless spells, which is, you know, kind of their deck. I suppose very notably, it helps us with Ozilek's command, Instant Speed, Graveyard Hate. So I think these come in probably in the place of Preordains. I'm going to do a quick check and see whether Eldrazi lists have shifted their graveyard hate around post like grief banning. Looks like most people are playing Fairy right now. I don't maybe need to bring in something that can kill Leyline of the Void specifically. This is a turn 1. No protection, but it's a turn 1. Don't think I'm mulliganing that. My opponent's hand was good enough to keep, and we're chilling. So I think I'm good. So, yeah, 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 yes. Is there any reason for me to ponder? I don't think I need to. Dark Ritual. I can just save this extra mana for later. Undercity Informer. Sacrifice it to its own ability. Do the whole Narcomoeba thing. Alright, my Narcomoebas are in play. Now going to cast a Cabal Therapy, targeting our opponent, sacrificing a Narcomoeba. This gets me back a Poxwalkers. Alright, my opponent attempts to junk my Thassa's Oracle. I will Memory's Journey, target myself, put in Thassa's Oracle. I think it can just be that one card. Bring back Poxwalkers. So my opponent still draws a card off their Kozilek's command. A little awkward that my Bridge from Below is in hand. I don't think it's a problem though. Let's just name Kozilek's command again. Oh, there is another one. There's also a Fairy Macabre. Got it. Ball Therapy, target you, name Fairy Macabre. It doesn't really matter, right? The Thassa's Oracle is just on top of my deck. The Wasteland matters. I'm sure on a mana here. Or the Wasteland. No, that's not going to be a problem. Well, I guess it depends. The Cabal Therapy. My opponent takes out Poxwalkers. My opponent just Wastelands. Alright, so I Cabal Therapy, target myself. All of this kind of depends on my opponent not interacting with his Poxwalkers. I guess it doesn't super matter which order I do it in then. I should have named Fairy the first time instead of Kozilek's command because I had multiple Cabal Therapies. Ooh, so Fairy hits Dread Return and Lantern. I take a Sowing Mycospawn. Cabal Therapy, target myself, back a Poxwalkers, return a Poxwalkers, junk my Bridge from Below. Now I'm out of stuff. So my opponent Wastelands me and I die. This may be avoidable with tighter play. Like I can hit my opponent for 5, I'm a mana short of this. My opponent took the Dread Return. Yeah, if I name Fairy the first time, I think I win this one. Because I Cabal Therapy, target myself, then Dread Return this. This loss was avoidable and is fully on me. Fairy's a little rough. This doesn't do anything. This has multiple consigned to memories, and I could try to play a controlling game versus Eldrazi. I don't really think I want to do that. I think I'll go to 5. On 5, this is going to be a keep. I'll keep something that looks like this. I think this probably ends up being a turn 2 Cabal Therapy rather than a turn 1 one. Just give my opponent extra time to draw a Fairy and then take out the Fairy. Opponent kept on 4. So I think I'm just going to do this and pass. There's a dual land, but it's not actually producing any immediate mana. Cabal Therapy, target you, name the Fairy. The Mind Break Trap. Sure. That we can just play around. Blast Zone's fine. Firing Flesh Raker's fine. So, play. Yes. Informer. Pass. And next turn I can just sacrifice this. And then Dread Return. And we're just good. I need an extra mana for any reason. I don't think I need an extra mana for any reason. Target myself. Sacrifice this. I've played no spells so far. Narcomoebas hit play. So do I still Cabal Therapy my opponent? Sure. Like if I Cabal Therapy and name Mindbreak Trap, that seems fine. So sack. There are some unknown draws here, so things can happen. We'll name the known Mindbreak Trap. Ooh. There's Fairy Macabre still. So, Cabal Therapy. Target you. Sacking Poxwalkers. We'll do the same song and dance again. I also guess I can just name very macabre the first time. I just have more mind break traps. All right, Jack-o'-lantern and Thassa's Oracle. So Memory's Journey. No, target myself. Oh, do I need to Jack-o'-lantern first? I'll make my green. Then Memory's Journey. Target me. Shuffle in the Thassa's Oracle, which I'll draw next turn. Return Poxwalkers. This doesn't do anything now. Opponent has no cards left. Name Lifetime Pass holder. I will play an extra land. And pass. Then we draw Thassa's Oracle, cast it, and we're good. And if my opponent wastelands me, I've got other plays here. Blast Zone goes up to 2, but that's fine. All right. Cast Thassa's Oracle. Win. Okay, I made that harder than it had to be for myself, but I believe we are now 3-0 despite that. Okay, I am on the play. I have enough mana to go off. So I could Chromox, Imprint, Narcomoeba, cast Ponder. Now that doesn't quite... That's not the most exciting thing. What about this? Sink into Stupor, find a thing. Then Chromox, Imprint, Sink into Stupor as land. No, I've already made this land drop. Yeah, I'm just going to mulligan. This is probably good enough. I keep it and preordain on turn 1 looking for protection. That seems fine. If I keep Narcomoeba in hand, I can find Force of Will as protection. I think I will get rid of land drop number 3. Maybe I should just mulligan for a turn 1 here, but this seems fine after 1 mulligan already. Let's preordain. Act of Negation is great. Bottom that. Top that. Pass turn. All right. Protected turn 2. We take that. Okay. And seems like the protection was probably necessary. I feel really smart. Shock. Dark Ritual. That's good enough to get my opponent to do something here. An honest to goodness Spell Pierce. Force of Will. Pitching Narcomoeba. Yep. Oh, we're good. Spy. Spy. Target myself. I only get 2 Narcomoebas here. So yes. Alright, and opponent has seen the writing on the wall. Alright, we are playing against the card Spell Pierce. What is that likely to mean? It's not really commonly played right now. Could be a flex slot in some sort of Delver-style deck list. This could be something to get a slower control deck out of the early game. Probably not a combo deck. I am probably going to play these Flusterstorms in the place of some of the generic blue cantrips, and hope that that's good enough. I could be playing against opposing discard where Leyline of Sanctity is relevant, but I think I'm just going to roll with this until I get more information. So this has 2 starting mana. It has a cantrip. If I want to try to play a very slow game, this is fine. I think I'll just mulligan though. This has 2 mana and 2 cantrips. Not overly excited about that. This has no mana. We're on 4. 1, 2, 3 for sure. The 4th one is a little trickier. I don't really think I'm just going to win the game without any protection. So part of me just wants to keep a Pact of Negation and assume that my deck that is full of mana will draw mana. I don't know how quickly I am going to get clocked in this matchup, but we'll find out. Like, I don't yet know if I have to just worry about getting Entombed followed by Reanimate immediately, or if there's just going to be Delvers or Netherglyphs or Tamios, Psychic Frogs. Wasteland's fine. I've got a few mana sources. This is not just an auto game over. Chromox is kind of whatever. Let's play this one. I'm more scared of my opponent having like a counterspell and a fairy or something like that than anything else. I think I'm just playing this and passing. I would prefer to set up a situation where I play and activate this in the same turn cycle, so something like Fetchland Fatal Push doesn't stop my combo. Like, I already feel behind. I don't think I want to turn more of my opponent's cards into live cards if they still even have Fatal Push. Well, let's start getting a feel for what's over there. Alright. I am still trading 1 for 1 with an interactive card. I am fine with that. And I don't want to commit Force of Will to Chrome Mox yet, because sometimes I will just draw more blue cards and that becomes a protection spell. The Tamiyo is accumulating card advantage, but I'm not dying yet. We'll just pass. So now I have 2 pieces of protection. I would love to just draw like a Dark Ritual. Or clues. Okay, yeah. Another Goyf. I think I'm likely to go off next turn. Because next turn, pretty much anything I draw gets me to a 4th mana, which is do this, activate, while having 2 things backing up my card. Losing the black mana here, like, definitely sucks. But again, I am at 18 life. Let's just play this as a tapped land, and we'll be back in the same position we were a turn cycle ago, but at 2 lower life, with my opponent having 1 more redraw. It's just got so many fucking cards. I'm at 16, and they are going to discard 2 cards. Oh my gosh, that's such a bad draw. Because that's something that doesn't imprint on Chrome Mox to give me the 4th mana to have double counterspell backup. I'm just going to keep waiting. Sort of interestingly, off the hand size discard, Nether Goyf grows by 2. Ooh. That's terribly awkward. I have to Force of Will that. That means pitching Pact of Negation. This is not a fight I want to be having right now. Oh, it worked. Cool. That grows the Nether Goyf, though. Now I'm scared. Now I just die in 2 Nether Goyf attacks. So, what are we doing about that? I think I'm making moves. So I'm going to cast a Chrome Mox. I'm going to imprint the Ponder. I'm going to cast the Informer. Now we are going to Flusterstorm this. Now, unfortunately, Daze is back online. And I also can't win this turn. So if my opponent has a removal spell for the Informer, that is also live. Yeah. So I think that's game over for me. Because I just get hit for 5 here. And I don't think there's a draw that gets me out of this. I can't, like, red return, do nonsense. Take 1 redraw. I don't think that gets me anywhere. Spellbomb target. Target player's graveyard. So, if I want to fight against Spellbomb specifically, which my opponent probably has 1 or 2 copies of, I can choose Consign to Memory or Leyline of Sanctity. Spellbomb's really fucking hard to beat if I don't Leyline. I think I'm going to board these in. I don't think I'm going to attempt to counter it. So this is very slow. This is naked turn 1 win attempt that has mana left over to try again if I get a little lucky. I think I am fine with that. I don't feel good about it, but I think I am fine with it. All right. Yeah. 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 Guess I'll play this out. Yeah. This is the Force of Will moment. Yep. All right. So the plan is now just get lucky, draw another Informer or Spy, and win. Okay. That's not good for me. That's not good for me. I think the wheels are coming off here. I'm not in any immediate danger, but like Daze is live, Future Wastelands are going to be good. That's not a good draw. I think this is curtains. Ah, shit. So now about the only way I beat that is just physically casting creatures. I can't take that out of play, so my graveyard is off. If my opponent produces a decent sized body, I will just concede. I am not going to beat them at a fair game if they... Oh, fuck me. Yeah, this sucks. My opponent's just fetching to thin. Yeah, that's a 3/4 body that is going to continue to grow. I could pretend that we're playing Magic for a couple more turns, but I'm going to move on. Okay. Opening hand here has 1 mana. I'm not a fan of that. Second hand has 2 mana, no payoff card. We're going to 5. Third hand has 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, or ish mana. Land drop, land drop. This is free. Chrome Mox, literally whatever the top card of my deck is, unless it's another Chrome Mox. Win turn 2. That's pretty good for a multi 5. Pass Lotus Petal. Play this. Pass turn. You can make an argument to not cast a Lotus Petal. Casting it makes it killable by something Prismatic Vista, but makes it not counterable by something like Vexing Bauble. See if our opponent turn ones us right back. Hey, exactly what I was talking about. Unfortunately, now I don't get to Chrome Mox Poxwalkers, so my opponent gets to buy at least one turn, and I need to find a land for a win. My deck is probably faster than my opponent's deck on average, but I've been slowed down, so my opponent has a window this turn to do something broken. The One Ring does not matter. Thassa's Oracle just wins. The protection is not a big deal. However, I do need to draw a land to get that win. Opponent's at 17. I'm probably not expecting too much more interaction from my opponent here. But I will die next turn. Yeah, I have lost. So my opponent goes 1 mana, turn any number of artifacts into Grindstone, activate Grindstone, and I die. Yeah, I was live for a couple turns. Any land does it. Oop. Dead. So, how do I want to approach the post-sideboard games? There's some very relevant colorless spells on the other side of the battlefield. I probably play Consign to Memory accordingly. Just get rid of the Preordains. I think I'm also going to get rid of Ponders and take Flusterstorm in for Red Elemental Blasts. This doesn't do anything. Assuming no fairy, this is a win. Land, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Deuter, activate, go. And I can decide whether or not I would like to play conservatively. Flusterstorm doesn't stop fairy anyway later, so I think we're just going. A Mind Break Trap could also just get me. So, Informer, sack, yes, do the thing. Okay, we just get that one. Why did my opponent keep their 7 then? I'm sitting here thinking about whether or not I need to play Leyline of Sanctity when I am on the draw because of my opponent targeting me with some sort of Tormod's Crypt style graveyard removal. Like do something like that, just have access to these. Also keeps me from getting painted, which is like not the most relevant thing in the world. I am just trying to kill my opponent before that becomes relevant. Well, I am a black mana source away from a victory. I think I'm going to keep it. I also have Force of Will for some scary things that happen. Are you scary? I'm going to go with no. It's new land. Pass turn. Mountain. Goblin Engineer. So if I don't counter that, my opponent could potentially get something reasonable that my Force of Will later does not interact with. Let's not mess around with that. It feels safe adjacent, but I could just be wrong, and I don't want to be wrong here. The Thassa's Oracle to hand. Sure. Pass turn. 4th land drop. Alright, well, we're going to see what the Engineer gets this time. A Vexing Bauble. That's totally reasonable. That's just a way to shut off artifact mana. Ooh, and I guess that just shuts off my Dread Return. Although I have the Thassa's Oracle in hand, so maybe we can work something out. But we are just not finding any black mana here. Maybe I should have mulliganed this one. I didn't run the numbers on it. I'm at 16. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Well, not doing so great here. Opponent has more mana. They can hold up. All sorts of nonsense here. I'm just getting clocked at a reasonable pace. So, play this. Dark Ritual. 4 mana. Spy. Yeah, this is fine. This is still, in theory, a win. In theory, because my opponent has some cards, right? So, Dark Ritual. Spy? Yeah. Let's draw another Dark Ritual, please. Alright, yeah, I'm still live, but I don't get another turn. That will not do it. So I can spy, but my stuff gets countered because of Vexing Bauble, and I just take lethal through it blocking if I do some Memory's Journey nonsense. Yep. But ultimately, we still end up positive in the league. All right, so how do we feel about Kurt's deck list here? I'll give it a thumbs up. I don't know that I want to bring this to a major event like Eternal Weekend. It felt like my opponents were relatively interactive versus me. And I certainly have room to tighten up play-wise. I haven't played this deck a ton. Like, there were lines that I figured out after the fact, or things that could have played around other stuff relatively easily that I just didn't do. I like that you get free wins with this deck, especially in game ones, but blue-black X decks are all over the format right now, and I don't love it when my opponent can attack me via the hand, via the battlefield, and via the graveyard. And those blue-black decks can do all of that. We saw Nihil Spellbombs, we saw Null Rods, we saw Fairies, we saw Surgicals. I think there's a decent amount of stuff to fight through right now, so I don't think that I am excited about this general strategy. But if you enjoy these types of decks, this seems pretty reasonable. I'm not 100% sure what Feed the Swarm is for in this current metagame. Like, I didn't feel like I wanted it versus the Delver style decks. Conceptually, I guess it exists for Hate Bear style decks, but I'm not really expecting to play against those. I don't think I boarded it in versus Eldrazi even. Like, I guess I'm wondering... No, the creature portion doesn't matter. It's for when we're expecting Leyline of the Void. But people are playing Fairy right now instead of Leyline of the Void. Maybe answering Leyline is still important enough that you have to have those in the sideboard. Consign to Memory is cool. The hyper-efficient way to answer Eldrazi stuff while also hitting some other stuff that you might care about, like Vexing Baubles and whatnot. Vexing Bauble is something else we kind of take some collateral damage from. A lot of red decks are switching to that over Chalice of the Void to force their threats and lock pieces through. And that shuts off the fast mana from our deck. And the Dread Return, which is no bueno. And I guess these spells as well. So yeah, I don't know how well positioned this deck is, generally speaking, but it's pretty good for what it is. If you need cards for it, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU. Let them know that I sent you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.